Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are all about talking shirts with a really good friend of the channel. Yes, that's right, we've introduced Roland from MySoccerUniverse, who I'm sure you've all heard of. So let's bring Roland in. Roland, good morning. How are things in Austria?
Good morning. Things are fine. It's an exciting day for me.
It is. And look, you are adorned with Lask shirts there. Look at that.
Yes, it's still from the video that should post today about the new stadium. I'm going to the opening today, so that's very exciting.
So before we go into shirts, then, when you say opening, what sort of activities have they got planned? Is it sort of a family affair?
Yeah, and I mean, it's the opening of the new stadium. Going with the family up there. They have a pre-game for about an hour, which I guess will be mostly speeches by politicians and celebrities. But yeah, we'll see how it will go. I said we may not. I want to be there about an hour early anyway, so let's see what's gonna happen. And
exciting. Oh, really excited for you. And to everybody watching, if you've not checked out Roland's channel, go and check it out. We'll hit his link in the bio below, and he's been updating us this week on the new stadium. We've had a few glances, so yeah, it'd be really good to hear and see how that goes. And fingers crossed, Lask get a good result in their opening games in the new stadium. So let's talk about.
Should be a win today because it's a manageable opponent.
Good. So, Roland, if for those who are watching this who have never seen your channel, and we've got to start by asking how have they not seen it, tell us a little bit about your journey in collecting. When, where, and how did it start? And I guess we're now in 2023. What's changed?
Oh man, it's actually. There was not really a real starting point. I mean, I think the starting point would be the 1990 World Cup, where I got really into football. And of course, we wanted to. I remember before the World Cup, since Austria had qualified, I got a T-shirt with the design of the Austria kit of the time. But then we were because we were so into it, and exactly. I was at the time. I was 12, 13, somewhere there. You get really into it, and I was pestering everyone. Yeah, we want to have the shirts of like Italy, Cameroon, all the big hitters, England even, and you couldn't get them around the time. And then I remember I was staying with my aunt, and she had a friend who was going to Italy, and she said, "Oh, you can buy the shirts in Italy all the time." And then she came home with an Italy shirt, which cost way more than my aunt wanted to spend. But it was a player issue Italy home shirt, which is my first one. Brilliant. And then it grew a little bit from there. I think the next one was a replica of the Brazil 94 shirt. And then, once I finished school, a little bit more money. I got a Milan shirt that I pestered my aunt with because she didn't like the colors, red and black stripes, but I really pestered her. It was in the store, and yes, I got her to buy it. Then I had this Brazil shirt from the 94 World Cup, but it was only a copy. And then I started earning a little bit my own money. And then I think in 96, this was right after I finished school, I had some money. I remember I bought the France shirt from Dead Euros. Mm-hmm. And then it snowballed from there. I needed to get this particular Lask shirt, of course, because that was also around 1996. And then I just started on adding more first teams that I liked or where I thought you gotta have. I think the first time I was dedicated really collecting is when I visited London in 2000, I want to say. And we went to all the stadium stores, and I got my Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham shirts. This was the first time where I bought shirts of teams that I didn't necessarily support, but where I thought this might be a nice souvenir. Before that, it was all about scarves. And so, yeah.
Great.
It really snowballed, though, when I started my channel. Then I got from 70 to, meanwhile, over 300 within 3 to 4 years. So
it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned the 1990 World Cup. I mean, I remember as a child watching some of the earlier ones, but that, obviously as an England fan, that was the one that sort of jumped out, and that sort of classic 90s look. I mean, you mentioned the Cameroon shirt from that. And yeah, 1996. And I know you helped me out recently, because when I did the video over New Year, I talked about the England Euro 96 away shirt as being a bit of a grouse shirt. And wow, within a couple of days, you'd found it. And there are certain shirts that jump out, don't they, and hold sort of really good memories. You mentioned there, you know, a jump from 70 to 300 shirts in a short space of time. And that, as somebody, I guess, who's relatively new to collecting and certainly don't have the same sort of story as you, I found myself focusing on volume in the early days. And very quickly you learn that your tastes or your strategy changes. How has collecting changed for you over the years? How has your focus shifted?
I wouldn't say my focus has shifted, but what I learned is, and that was really at the beginning of the channel, that I can buy shirts secondhand and I don't have to go to classic football shirts, that there are the local marketplaces. This was for me the big game changer, because before that, when I bought a shirt, it was usually expensive. And that's why, you know, yes, I bought, but it was always a little bit, can I afford it or should I do it? And then I realized, okay, I can get shirts that I've been looking for a long time for 20 euros, 30 euros, sometimes even cheaper. That was for me the game changer. What has also changed for me is that I went then a little bit wild, as you said, at the beginning of this journey. But then I quickly got, for my videos, I said, okay, I have this wall. This developed over time that I want to actually make a fitting background for. And then, I started collecting that the direction, meaning I want to get the shirts for teams at the World Cup, at the Euros, at the continental tournaments, and then, of course, for the leagues that I'm talking about. And it was also important to kind of narrow it down, because there are teams that I would like or I wanted to have. The problem is that they're not in the first division anymore in a way. So I kind of focus myself now on, I call it the top 7 European leagues plus Austria. And then collect from there. And yes, if teams get relegated, so be it. I have to find something else to replace them.
I mean, I mean, I don't know about you, but part of the thrill for me sometimes is chasing that bargain. I think we are spoilt now in terms of having so many options available to us, both in terms of retailers, clubs directly, the shirt community as a whole, which we can come on to talk about a bit later. But you know, it's very easy to go out and buy a brand new shirt or wait for sales, of which there seem to be more and more these days. But actually, sometimes that thrill of getting something for like pennies, possibly from someone who doesn't quite know what they're selling, but there is a sense of achievement there, and I think that's the beauty of the collecting community, is we all have very different objectives. We are all unique, and I think that's what's great. I mean, we've got to know each other over the last year. We talk with a number of the guys who are on other platforms, and I mean, I don't think any one of us shares a particular style of collecting. I mean, how easy is it where you are to get those bargains?
Depends on what you're looking for. I mean, as long as I was looking for German and English shirts and the occasional big teams and so on, it was easy. But now, I mean, at the moment, I want to add a few Dutch shirts, a few, not the outside of the big 3, from Portugal, which is not easy at all, and from France, which is also not that common unless you want to have Lyon, PSG, or Marseille, and even those around here don't come cheap. The funny thing is that for a long time, I didn't want to add any other Austrian teams, which is in a way ridiculous, because those I could find here and there a bargain. Although it's easier to find a bargain for, let's say, German teams. The bigger German teams and English teams, I find better bargains than I find for Austrian teams at times. Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the time it's luck, isn't it? I mean, it's when you go on, it's when you. I mean, I've found myself in a couple of positions on Vinted where a shirt's popped up. I have a filter on there to see the latest items that have been published. But I find myself, you know, because we do live in a world that is awash with fakes, sadly, that, you know, you want to go through a certain level of due diligence, don't you? You want to check it off. And I have missed some fantastic shirts where I've probably been overly cautious and haven't been prepared to part with, you know, say 10, 15 British pounds, you know, when I could get it wrong. And you think, well, yeah, but I could get it wrong, but it's only £10. But if I get it right, there is a huge upside. And there's obviously others out there because they're going straight away.
I have done the going straight away for a while, and I got burned a few times, but you know, it's very hit and miss, and you develop a skill of seeing things, but sometimes you get so excited that you overlook certain giveaways, which has happened to me. I don't deny that. But then I remember once I wanted to have the 2014 Columbia home shirt, and I mentioned it in a video, and it popped up like 2 days after. And the guy kind of said, no, it's not a Chinese copy or whatever. And I looked at the pictures, and it just didn't look right to me. However, he said it's not a Chinese copy. And I said, okay, let's go for it. There, it was a Chinese copy.
I mean, I use Vinted a lot over here. I know in Austria you use Willhaben, don't you? And I must admit, you know, there is a blend of sellers there. You've obviously got community collectors who sell via Vinted, but you've also got those who are leveraging, I guess, the world we live in now with cost of living crisis, the whole sort of second-hand thrift market. And I think I can excuse those people who don't live and breathe the world of football shirts for not putting a photo of a product code label in there. But for those who collect shirts who clearly don't take the photo, I mean, I'm quite a suspicious character by nature. So, but I mean, we've talked about bargains. Now, the elephant in the room, classic football shirts. We've both bought from classic football shirts, and for good reason, because you can get brand new football shirts at times for £20 or less. By the time you factor in the 20% sales, which I've got to admit, it would be fantastic if they're watching this video. Let's mix it up and throw a 25% sale in there, because it's just the same stuff. And as someone who works in marketing, there's no innovation with the sales they do. They just roll the same thing out. Anyway, that's my frustration. But
at least as a collector, I know roughly the times when these are happening, so you can actually pace yourself a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've found myself buying shirts there because I perceive them to be good value and cheap. And then I must admit, I now go through my collection because I've got other shirts on my list, and I think, oh, why did I get that? Do I really need that? But news this week came out that they'd managed to get hold of, I think, circa 70 pallets worth of Barcelona dead stock. And I think I saw, it may have been yesterday, day before, they put, I think, and I could be wrong, was it the 15-16 or the 16-17 home shirt up?
Yeah.
For £70. No name set. And it attracted quite a lot of criticism on Twitter. And obviously the immediate thing I did was to go onto eBay and other channels and see, well, where can I pick up a legitimate? And I was finding that shirt for £20-25. So, you know, they clearly play a role globally in supporting the community, and you know, the story of how it all came about, I love. But, you know, at some point, something's got to give. Surely they've got to realise that, you know, they're taking the piss a little at times, are they not?
Yes. No, I mean, I think they're not. They are definitely not the cheapest, and especially for that Barcelona shirt. I think I got it even in the season. I saw it on sale, like for 50. And at that time, I wanted to have a more classic-looking Barcelona shirt, so I had this put as a present for me, and then I even got a Club World Cup winners patch for it. So I don't need to have that shirt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and you know,
£70 is too much. I think I can find that shirt in a good condition for 20 on Willhaben.
Yeah, and you know, I'll put it out there to people watching this. You know, I'm you know, I'll take the balanced view here. Classic football shirts are amazing, and there's a reason why there's a premium price, because they have teams who source these shirts. They check the authenticity. So I completely get collectors who maybe don't have the time or the inclination to to do that. And it's and as I say, we've all purchased from Classic Football shirts. What what mistakes have you made with your collection? I mean, you've talked there about jumping in and buying things and them not being authentic, but have you got any regrets looking back?
I have more regrets on stuff that I missed, but I actually I don't have a regret, because whenever I wanna get a shirt, I think relatively I wanted to have it. I mean, I always joke with my kids that the shirts are also my kids in a way. So I mean, one regret is maybe that I wanted to badly have a Feyenoord shirt, and I couldn't find one. And I had a seller who sold one that was really nice, and basically it sold under my nose. And then he offered me one. It was, yes, without sponsor, but I didn't like it all that much. And it's still the one that I have, because I have not found one for a decent price, let's put it that way. Like the classic half look, it's the 10-11 one. I don't necessarily like the template. I mean, it's has some nice features, but it's this Puma template with a weird collar and some weird patches. Doesn't really do it. I have it, but I always think this is maybe one that I should replace at one point, maybe with a more current one, now that the former Lusk player is playing there. So that would be more nice. Unfortunately, they're doing well, so then they will never come down in price. This is the point. So, but this is the one that I go where I think about it. But other than that, I don't have that many regrets, to be honest with you.
That's good.
I really cannot think of. I mean, that's the one that really sticks out. Maybe there could be an immediate regret if you buy something and then you see it a week or two down later that it was cheaper. If I buy a shirt for a good price, for a high price now, and I see it like in a year or two cheaper, I don't worry about it, because at the time I wanted to have it, so I don't regret it. And I anyway have to come to a conclusion that regret is not a good thing to have in your life. You did your best at every time, and so that's kind of my motto anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we have that in all products in life, don't we? We can go to the supermarket one week and buy a product, and next week it's buy one get one free.
Exactly.
It's where you are in the moment. Yeah. I mean, you've shared there your memories of the 90s, and I think I'm with you. I mean, I love 90s shirts. I love those good baggy shirts that we could get. Yeah. Things felt simpler back then. You could get fake shirts. I remember trips to Europe, and you'd see the stalls on the streets, and you could pick up Barcelona shirts or Juventus shirts, and they look terrible. And I've done videos on fake shirts, and if you look at that fake market now in terms of what they reproduce versus back then, the technology and the expertise has shifted. But for younger people watching our channels, there are so many choices to make now, aren't there, when buying a kit? Because let's start from the basics. You've got stadium or fan version, or you've got an authentic player version. You've then got a choice. Sometimes sponsorless, long sleeve, short sleeve, name set, no name set, club name set, cup name set, sleeve patches, league patches, European patches, domestic cup patches. I mean, the list goes on. Is there a risk that it's just going to go on, and because you could have 12 variations of the same shirt, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like the idea of sleeve patches, but now it gets I think where it gets really crazy. I saw it. I was once looking for the Austria. I like the Austria Vienna shirt that they had like 2 seasons ago. Not that I would have bought it from their club store, but I was just interested, and they were selling the basic shirt, I think, for 65 euros. But you had to pay 5 euros extra for every sponsor that they put on there. And they put a lot of sponsors on there. So if you want to have the version as worn by the players in the league, you would have paid 120. So it doubled the price. And I'm thinking, if I want to add a sponsor, at least I remember when I bought the Carnival jersey from Cologne, they gave me the sponsors for free. I had to pay for the club patch, because it makes sense. The sponsors, this is additional promotion for them. So the sponsor logos should come in for free.
Yeah.
in a way. But I totally agree with you. There are so many versions now out there, and I honestly, I mean, I'm very much into the getting the replica versions, just cost effective. I don't really, I don't need. I'm not a high performance athlete. I don't need the on-field product. And also because I'm more, yes, I want to have dedicated teams. I want to have nice shirts, but I don't need to feel the same as the player. And then, to be honest, I like to wear my shirts.
Yeah.
The player shirts don't look good on me. So I always have. And then what I really hate is that they now make it's such a distinction that you can really make it out from a distance. Even what's the difference between the on-field and the replica shirt? That for me is a very dangerous path on something, because it's just ripping off. If your replica shirt looks like a fake already, that is where I really draw the line then.
Yeah, and I mean, as well, we're both parents. Kids always want the best, don't they? And if a child finds out there's a version that their heroes playing, that's the one they want. And it is frightening now that, you know, especially with young kids, they want a kit every season. It has become commercialized. I would love to see a place where they would just sell a kit with the name set and the patches all as one, because there's nothing more frustrating for me than seeing a bargain on kit bag or, you know, and then you add the name set and then you add the sleeve badges, and before you know it, you're back up to the retail price of the shirt alone, and you think, what? And as a collector, it is quite nice to see all your shirts hung up and have all those sleeve patches. I mean, some of the images that always stand out on social media for me are those collections where you think, but and that's probably where I mean, we've talked a lot about our focus for this year, and I think we're both looking at adding name sets, rationalizing our collections a bit, but it's not cheap. By the time you've bought an official name set, sleeve patches, paid to get it applied, you know, you're talking 20 to 25 British pounds, so 30 euros per shirt. And
it's basically you buy another shirt to get your shirt upgraded.
Yeah, and so it is tough. And having watched the Man U Barcelona, I mean, I came away last night just wanting that Barcelona shirt with Lewandowski more and more. You know, but
honestly, I'm Barcelona. I'm very happy with all the Barcelona shirts that I have for now. And yes, this vapor knit pattern looks nice, but I saw the first time that it came out. You know, I like when there's a map on a shirt. The vapor knit pattern does not look as exact as if it's a print. So I actually thought the stated version is not that bad.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, I think when we're working to a tight budget, and I watch your videos, and I love the fact that in all your videos you say, I've consulted with my wife, we're in budget. I think that's brilliant. But when you're working on a budget month on month, I think to focus on stadium fan versions is the smart thing, because it enables you to build that collection up. So thinking about new kits, there's been a lot of activity in the football world. So MLS kits, dominated by Adidas, which stood out for me during the World Cup. I mean, I did a lot of reviews. I was really impressed with Adidas. Not a fan of Nike at the moment and some of their templates. But the MLS I believe have secured the MLS kits through to 2030 now. Yeah. Are there any standout kits there that have caught your eye?
To be honest, I'm not looking that much at MLS kits. I know I've lived a long time in America. I actually tried to even get into the MLS. I remember the first MLS game that I watched was a 3-1 scoreline with 3 own goals. That kind of did it for me. And my other problem is that I never lived anywhere close to an MLS team. Now, there are teams in the area that I was living. There is now a team in Charlotte in the Caribbean. So I never really got into the MLS. I always liked the Seattle Sounders home jersey with the bright green and the blue. That was one standard kit. I also thought that the original Galaxy look was pretty cool. The one that when Beckham came, I think they wanted to be too much Real Madrid in there, so that was a little bit odd. But yeah, I never, I looked at a few kits. I never find myself, I need to get one of these to be perfectly honest. It's also not where my head is at, to be honest. So I always look more at the European. If you give me national teams from exotic national teams, I'm all in for. Exotic leagues, not quite my cup of tea. When I look at the American, I really go to the core American sports like football, NHL, especially NHL jerseys. I really love to collect. I have a small collection of those as well. Baseball, I think those hold for me more value because there's a little bit more tradition behind them than the actual MLS jerseys. But that's my personal perspective on it.
I mean, there's certainly some stunners this year. I mean, people would have seen I reviewed the Seattle Sounders one yesterday, which, in the flesh is a very nice shirt. That was the authentic player version, and it felt really good wearing it, and probably was a sort of shirt I would be comfortable wearing out for the day. But I think the one that jumps out for me is certainly Portland Timbers, that sort of green. It looks really good, but they are hard to get hold of here. I mean, it's probably going to be one where classic football shirts come into its own. You'll see some of those headlines going along the bottom of the screen. I mean, I've got to draw out the Milan because obviously there were lots of pictures of Giroud all over social media yesterday. So is that ticking a box for you, or is this more commercial opportunities?
I think it's more commercial opportunity. I mean, I don't mind this one as much as last season's. The last season was horrific. The Neyman with I think it would have been all right if they wouldn't have had this white shoulder patch up top. This one, I find it interesting, but it will most likely not enter my collection unless I find it somewhere for a real bargain. I like my classic looks, and I saw already the next year's Milan home will already have a wild look. So that's more, I might go more there, but I like it classic. For fourth shirt, okay, you can do crazy things. So I don't mind it as much, but I think for me it's also that the logo is just the golden outlines, which is not so fun, to be honest. If it was a full color logo, it would hold more value for me because then it's more recognizable Milan, especially the Milan crest. If you want to do something, I mean, if they would put just the devil logo on there in golden, I think I would like this more than take a monochromatic version of the Milan logo, because it's already it's 3 colors. Taking one color out changes it significantly.
And this time of year, it's just been going along the bottom there. We've had more Dortmund blackouts. We've had anniversary show. I mean, we're going to March next week. I'm already I'm salivating in what to expect with new kit releases for next season, because it starts to flow sort of towards, I guess, middle to end of March. You start to get the leaks, and then they get the reveals, and a lot of teams, certainly here in England, will possibly show at least one of their new kits on the final game of the season. So it always feels slightly strange for me that you get these.
Which is also a bugbear for me. I like it that you wear one kit. I mean, it's already enough that we get a new kit every season, but I don't want a new kit worn on the last match day. I want it. I mean, UEFA has the rule you have to wear the same kits throughout the entire Champions League, Europa League competition, and give us at least that. And I think Bayern Munich started that trend. I think they are to blame for that.
We'll blame Bayern. I'd quite like to get to a place. I mean, we talked about the MLS there. The MLS have carried one shirt over for the season, and I'd be a big. I know. Who was it in the Premier League this season? Brentford did the same, and I think I applaud Brentford for doing that, because if you're going to spend the money on the shirt, certainly for those fans who want to wear it, you want to wear it, and you want to wear it with pride,
Absolutely.
don't you? And I think we're battling with 4 shirts as fans, potentially up to 4 shirts per season for your team, which is it's not financially sustainable for a lot of people. But I think you touch on a really good point there. I think new kits should be unveiled through pre-season. I think seeing people walking around with brand new shirts in April or May before the season's finished always feels slightly weird.
I mean, I found it really odd when Real Madrid won the Champions League, and then some players were even wearing the new shirts then in the celebrations already.
Yeah, we won't talk about Real Madrid after this week anyway. So just I guess to wrap things up, I mean, this year for you is about. I mean, I think you mentioned you've got a lot of name sets and badges. I mean, are you sitting on bundles of the stuff that you're ready to apply?
Patches, I'm sitting on name sets. Actually, not because they're stuck. The 2 that I have ordered, or the 3 that I've ordered, they're all stuck in England at the moment. But yeah, I hope that will come out sometime. But I'm sitting on a few patches. I just need to find some time to maybe try to apply one as a test run again. I remember I did this about 10 years ago for applying a Scudetto patch on the Milan shirts, and it worked so and so. Up and then I lost a little bit my confidence in that. I had my mother sew them on.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to try to apply patches again with the old iron. I think I have now a little bit more experience and background info and that, but I think I need a quiet afternoon where I can just try and do this, maybe even film it, and then let's take it from there.
That'd be good. And I'm gonna pose a question to you. So most people watching these channels will have seen Away Days channel, will see guests going into classic football shirts and getting £500 to spend. Now, when you become famous, Roland, and you get invited to buy Ellis to go to classic football shirts and you get 500, where would you go? What shirts would you be going for if you had a £500 budget? Would you be going MATCHWORN, or are there any sort of legend classics you'd pick out?
I think I would go retro Serie A, 90s Serie A. That's where I would go. That's where my head's at, or maybe some international shirts from that era, not area.
They've certainly got an impressive collection. That's for sure. I mean, you wouldn't have any trouble. You wouldn't have any trouble spending thousands there, let alone £500.
Yeah, listen, I think 500 might actually. I mean, it sounds a lot, but then it might actually be limiting as well. So I always said I would like to go in a warehouse and pick out a few shirts just like that. But it is what it is.
Roland, it's been great getting to know you on the channel. I know we've spoken about doing more chats like this, and hopefully we can chat more broadly, but it's been nice to get to know you. As I say, we've been speaking for over a year now. We have a lot of good chats, so it's great for you to come on and be on the channel. And yeah, hopefully we can talk. We can get all shirty once again and deliberate all things. But thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, guys, go check the description below. Go follow Roland. He's got an awesome channel, and I hope you enjoy the new stadium reveal later on, and look forward to seeing your content on that.
Yes, it was my pleasure coming on, and I'm looking forward to many, many more. Thanks for inviting me over.
Thanks, Roland. Take care.
Bye.